welcome back to my channel. So today, as promised, I am doing a video about relationships. So I told you guys on my story video about my career that in order to talk about relationships, I had to do a whole different video with my stories. So here it is. This is that whole different other video where I'm gonna share with you guys a little bit about what my romantic life has been all about throughout my life and some of the learnings that I've had during my trials and tribulations and also the happy times to hopefully help you a little bit go through some of the tough times, because we know relationships are tough, right? We cannot live without them, but man, sometimes when you are in them, they are more miserable than if you were alone, right? So want to talk to you a little bit about how things happen for me and share with you a little bit of my learning. So I am a person that I have not had a lot of boyfriends. I've always been quite selective, and when I had a boyfriend, I would stay with him for a long time. So in terms of stories, I don't have quantity for you to speak of, but I do have some pretty big learnings, throughout my life. So you guys know I was born in Brazil. I was raised in Brazil, and my first boyfriend was actually from Brazil. I still live there. I was 18 years old, and he was my first serious boyfriend. He was a very, very good guy. He did everything to help me out, to make me happy, and he was what I thought at the time, the love of my life, and I couldn't live without him. And he was God sent. You know that feeling you have when you have your first love. You think this is it, for the rest of your life. So my relationship with him did not go so well, and it was because of me, really. It was my fault. So what happened was I was quite insecure at the time. I was 18 years old. And even though he did everything to make me happy, and he was there every minute of every moment, I treated him like crap. I wanted in my head, and maybe this is gonna sound crazy, or maybe some of you might identify with that, but in my head, I wanted him to prove his love for me over and over and over. So to me, I had to fight with him and break up with him so that he could beg to come back and beg me and tell me how much he loved me. And to me, there was confirmation that he really, truly loved me. So I would create problems out of nowhere. And even though I was a good girlfriend to him, but every fight we had, I would break up with him, because I didn't really want to break up with him. I would break up with him just so he could beg to come back and make me feel good and make me feel like he really truly loved me and I was the love of his life, right? So we dated for 2 years, and after a while, he got sick of it. Can't blame him. One night he left my house, and every time he left my house late, I would make him promise that he was gonna call me when he got home, because Brazil is dangerous as hell. So if you're driving alone at like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, I always wanted him to call me when he got home to let him know he made it home okay, or I wouldn't sleep. So one night he left my house really late, went back home, didn't call me. And man, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, I couldn't sleep. My heart is pounding. I'm thinking he's dead. He was shot. And I called his house, and I was flipping furious. So I called him, and he picked up, and I'm like, "You asshole and mother flipper. You are home and you didn't call me. I'm here for 4 hours without sleeping. You are such a jackass. I can't believe you would do that to me. Blah, blah, blah." And I just unloaded on him. And guess what? It wasn't him. His dad answered the phone. I did not realize it wasn't him. And I'm here cursing and yelling and screaming. Man, oh man. So I noticed, the next day he didn't call me and he didn't show up, and I could tell something was wrong because we talked all the time. He texted me all the time. Like, we were that couple that was inseparable. And then when I finally was able to get a hold of him that night, Monday night, he was really cold on the phone. And I said, "You're not coming over?" Because he would come over to my house every single day after work. He was really a really good boyfriend. And he said, "I don't know." He said, "I need some time to think." And oh my God, you guys, like when he said that, my heart sank, because I knew that this time, by the way he was acting, that he was done, that he had had enough of my ass, being bossy and kind of taking advantage of him. And so he didn't show up to my house that night, and he didn't show up to my house the following day. And at this point, I forgot to say, we were engaged. So we were dating for 2 years, and we decided we wanted to get married. We were engaged. We were buying things for our house, and I just cannot even tell you how painful that was. I thought my world was ending. So he never really had the courage to call me and actually break up with me. Was it. He just disappeared. And I knew that he didn't want to talk to me because he did love me, and he would, be weak and not be able to leave. So his way of cutting it off was to disappear. So I mean, I thought my life was over, you guys. I cannot tell you how much I suffered because that man was my first love. He was everything to me. We were together every day. At this point, I was like 20 years old, about to turn 21. He was a little younger than me. He was a year younger than me. So you can tell I have a pattern. I like younger guys from since I was a teenager. But I could not physically get up. I could not physically sleep. All of my dreams were about him. And when I woke up, I would realize that we were no longer together. And my life felt like living in a inferno. I swear to God. Like every time I woke up, I wanted to go back to sleep because I was like, oh my God, no, we did break up. We are not together anymore. And I had bad thoughts. I didn't eat. I lost so much weight. I was a girl that always worked out a lot. And during those days, I was so skinny that I actually had to eat a lot to maintain my weight, or I was a stick. All of my work, to look good and have my muscles, everything went down the drain. I sunk in my house for a good 3 weeks. I just couldn't function. My mom would do everything she could to like cheer me up, but I called him, I begged him, I had my brother call him and beg him to come see me. I completely lost all of my self-worth and all of my love for myself, and I just begged and really kind of degraded myself to try to get back with him, and he wasn't having it. So we broke up, and obviously, what happens is as soon as you break up, the pain seems unbearable, but then a month goes by and you can handle it a little better, and then 2 months go by and a little better, and I reconnected with my friends, and we started going out, and I was having fun, and things became a little more bearable. So this was my first boyfriend, first love of my life. So here is my number one lesson for you guys is, your first boyfriend might seem like he is the person that you love the most, and you will never forget that person, and you will never love anybody else more than him. And I will tell you that was not the case for me at all. I love that man with every ounce of my body, but guess what? I fell in love with other people more than him, and I survived. And that breakup might seem like the end of your life. And I actually have a real sad story of someone that I know from work where her daughter, her first boyfriend broke up with her, and her daughter ended up committing suicide, and she couldn't handle the pain, and she killed herself. And that to me is such a sad story, but I kind of understand a little bit because when I was in that position, I did think my life was over. I did think my world was over. So if you or child are in that situation, make sure to talk to them a lot and make sure they understand that we all go through our first love. We all go through the pain of a breakup because most of us do not marry our first love, do not end up with our first love. Some people do work out, but most of us don't. And we do survive, and we find people that we love way more than that first love. So now it's funny because now I look back, I am so happy we didn't work out. I am so happy you broke up with me. I really believe in life. Things happen for a reason, and when things are bad is because something 3 times better is coming your way. So I really, now after 44 years of learning and going through good times and bad times, everything bad that happened in my life, when I look back, it actually opened the doors for something so much better to come along. And I could not thank God more for him breaking up with me because it got me to where I am today. So think about that, you guys. Whatever relationship you're in, you might think this man is the end all and be all for you, and you do not have the guts to leave. Man, if you are not happy, make sure you have the guts to leave, because I promise you, you will be so much happy without a bad relationship. So that was relationship number 1. Relationship number 2, I was, enjoying life after my first breakup. I was in my 20s. I'm going out with my friends. I'm traveling. I am happy as can be. And then one day in a nightclub, I see this gorgeous, gorgeous man walking around. So we used to go to the same clubs over and over, me and my friends. So every time I went to this club, this gorgeous man is there. And this man was like a Greek god. And I'm thinking, this guy will never want anything to do with me, right? So I'm not even gonna go there. But he was one of those guys that everybody knew who he was. They knew his name. He was a model. He was in very big campaigns for stores in Brazil. So big stores. I would see like his photo, in stores at the mall and whatever. Well, one fine day, this guy decides, to come talk to me. And I just could not believe. I'm not thinking I'm not pretty enough. There's no way. In Brazil, guys, for you, those of you who do not know, the game is not fair for women in Brazil. Like, there's millions of women, way more women than men. The women are gorgeous, so for you to find somebody, it's not freaking easy. And when a guy is good looking, I mean, he has 300 freaking chicks throwing themselves at them, right? So it is not fair play, which is why I am no longer there. I was like, screw this shit. I am moving to the US where chances are in my favor. So anyway, we ended up started dating. This relationship ended up being the worst relationship of my entire life. We ended up dating. This guy in the beginning was amazing. He filled me with gifts. He was almost like too good to be true, because very early on, he was like, I love you, I cannot live without you, and it was gifts, and he was always in my house. It didn't really progress. It was like really fast and overnight. And over time, it was funny because I realized the guy that I met, that he portrayed to me, was not the real him. He was putting on a facade as this perfect boyfriend, and as time went by, he started revealing who he truly was, and he was an asshole. Okay, he was a complete asshole. And this is probably the most meaningful relationship I have to speak of to you guys, because it was the one that taught me the most in my life. But I did not have a lot of confidence in myself. This guy was extremely good looking. He had women throwing themselves at him all the time, which made me even more insecure about myself. And then it ended up becoming a pattern of, he would say he would come see me and he wouldn't, and he would tell me he would be here and he wouldn't be. It was lie after lie after lie, but I did not want to believe it. I would make up these stories to myself. Maybe something happened. Maybe a friend needed his help. Maybe, his mom is not feeling well and he went to her house. You want to believe so bad that what is happening is not happening, that your mind will find these ridiculous ways to justify all of the things that are so apparent in your face that you do not want to see. So I made up every excuse in the universe for him, because I did not want to believe that he was cheating, right? On top of it all, guys, the relationship became abusive, because as time went by, I would start confronting him about, you said you were going to be here and you're not. Like, what the hell? You said you were coming to my house and you didn't. So he started hitting me. Every time we had a fight about what he did wrong, he would have a way to twist things around to make me believe that it was my fault. So even though he was the asshole, he was the one that was lying to me. He would make me believe that, oh, you are too much. You are too much up my ass, and that's why I don't call you, because I need a break. You need to fix yourself. You are too clingy. And he would make me believe that I was the problem, that I wanted him to stand up to his word and do the things he said he was going to do. And he made me believe that me requesting him to be a man of his word was me being too clingy. So I would be upset and I'd be like, look, I am done, get out of my house. And he would beat the shit out of me. Like, I remember him like sometimes raising me by my pants and like raising me. He was a very strong guy, very tall guy. He would raise me by my pants. He would grab me by the shirt sometimes where the buttons of my shirt would fly. Like, he would rip off my shirts. And in this craziness, you guys might hear this and you guys might think this chick is crazy for staying with a man like that. But guys, there is a mental abuse that someone can put you through that make you believe that you deserve that. And that's how I felt at the time. I didn't feel, this guy is an asshole, I need to get out. I felt, I am horrible. I am a horrible girlfriend. I am very clingy, and I deserve this from him. I have to fix myself for him to treat me with respect. That's how I thought at the time, right? So this kind of went on and on and on. And he was actually the boyfriend that came with me to the US. So remember, I told you guys I was in Brazil. My dream was to come to the US, and it was very tough to do it by myself. So I was dating him at the time, and he said, that is my dream as well. Let's go together. And he said, look, I have a lot of money saved. I can help us go to the US, and so let's do this. So I came with him, you know. So at the time, it was funny too, because in this relationship, he wanted us to get engaged, right? He tried to propose many times, but I never accepted it. It was funny because I couldn't get out of it, but at the same time, I was like, there is no freaking way in hell that this man's gonna be my husband. Like, I might not be strong enough to get out now, but I will find the strength to get out eventually. Like, I do not want to get married. So I refused to get engaged to him, but we came to the US. And at that point, guys, I was actually thinking a little bit more logically, where I was like, you know what? This relationship sucks. I suffer so much, but I am gonna get some good out of this. I mean, don't get me wrong. I am making this worth my while. So at that point, I knew I wanted no future with that man, but I knew I wanted to come to the US, and I knew that that's where my future and my dreams were. And I said, I'm gonna go to the US and I'm gonna make my dreams happen. So I came to the US with him. It was very convenient for me because I had someone to split the bills with, like I told you on my other video. And at that point, I was just trying to find a way to get out. You know, I didn't have the strength. I was still in love with him, but I knew conscientiously that I had to get out. So the way we ended up breaking up was quite pathetic. It wasn't me being this badass woman and saying, enough is enough, I'm out. That's actually not what happened at all. We had a friend, and listen to this story. So we had a friend, and I remember going shopping with this friend one day. And this friend said, you need to go shopping with me. I have this amazing hot date, and I need to get an amazing outfit. So I went out with this friend, you know, to Saks Fifth Avenue. This person got like Versace clothes, you know, for this hot date and everything else. Anyway, fast forward a few days, this same friend calls me saying, I have to tell you something. Your boyfriend is cheating on you with me. And I was like, oh my flipping Lord. So here's what happened. My boyfriend at the time was cheating on me with this friend. This friend had a roommate, so my boyfriend, who was a freaking asshole of a dog, hit on my friend's roommate while he was there to see my friend. My friend got pissed off and jealous because he was hitting on the roommate, and that's why the friend decided to call me to punish him and say that he was cheating on me. So it wasn't that this person called me out of the kindness of their heart and they have a crisis and they were feeling guilty that they were, you know, with my boyfriend. It was because my boyfriend was trying to go out with this other chick, and this person then, as a revenge, decided to call me. So then when that happened, enough was enough. I said, dude, I am freaking out. I had no idea how I was going to handle things, how I was going to live alone. He lived in my apartment, how I was going to pay the bills. But I said, this is it. This is time for me to cut the cord and move on with my future and my life and get this man out of my life. You know, this was such negative energy for a couple years, which was the time period that we dated, that it was time for me to free myself of that weight. So at that time, I actually called my mom to come help me here in the US, and she actually flew to the US to be there when he moved out because I was afraid he was gonna kill me. Remember, I told you he physically abused me many times. He would punch me, he would kick me, I mean, you name it, he did it. So I was afraid that this time when I was finally getting rid of him, that he was gonna kill me. So I called my mom, and my mom said, I am coming there, do not do anything, let's make sure I am there when we kick him out, because the apartment was under my name, so I had every right to stay. So my mom came, I kicked him out, and that's how I finally got rid of him. And I was so done. And when I finally got out, I felt so free, like I can finally, you know, fulfill my destiny without this person around me. So this is my lesson number 2, guys. Actually, a few lessons out of this relationship, right? Lesson number 1. If you are seeing red flags that the person is doing something wrong, don't disguise them. Don't create explanations for them. It is what it is. The truth is in front of you. Do not try to create these crazy stories in your head to try to not believe what is actually happening. When the red flags are there, it's because something is there, and it's because something is going on. And If you think he is lying to you and if you think he's acting suspicious, it is because it is true. Of course, there are some women that are insecure or whatever and see things where they don't exist. There's exceptions to every rule, I'm gonna say, so that's my disclaimer. Obviously, there are exceptions to every rule, but here is the thing. We have a sixth sense. We have an instinct. When you are noticing that something is not right, it's because something is not right. So act on it, have some balls, and just get the hell out. Because blinding yourself is not going to change the situation. Blinding yourself is not going to make him stop cheating. Blinding yourself is not going to make him love you more, respect you more, treat you better. It is not. It's just you allowing that to continue. So if there's something horrible happening that you don't want to happen and you are scared of the truth, man, grow a pair of balls, don't be like me, and face the truth, because that is gonna be your freedom. You do not want to be in a relationship where a guy is cheating on you for the rest of your life. You do not want to be in a relationship where a guy is abusing you for the rest of your life. Now that I look back, I'm like, oh my God, I can't even believe I went through that. Like, I can't even believe I put up with that. I'm so much better than that. You ignoring the problem is not going to make it go away, and you are prolonging your hell, and you are prolonging your suffering. So if you're in a bad situation, you are only gonna get better if you get out. You're only gonna meet a better person if you go through the pain and suffering of getting out of the bad relationship you are in. Okay, so that is my learning right there for you guys. The other piece of it is abuse is never ever justified. If your man lays one hand on you, you get the hell out. I don't give a damn what explanation he's giving for it. I don't give a damn if he's apologizing 15 million times over and tell you how much he loves you and you're the love of his life. That is bull crap, okay? If you are the love of his life, he would treat you like a queen. He would worship the floor you step on, okay? He would not hurt you. So if you are in this situation, ask for help. You know, there is something called mental abuse that completely removes all of the reason and all of your logical thinking and puts you in a downward spiral that you cannot get out of. If you are in that situation, ask for help. There are women's support groups. Talk to your friends. Get a psychiatrist. I mean, there are so many tools that you can use to get yourself out of that situation, because you deserve so much better. Being alone in peace is better than being in a relationship that is hell. I am sorry, but coming home, watching the movie you want, going out with your friends whenever you want, doing whatever the hell your heart feels like is so much better than a bad relationship. Do not be afraid of being alone. That is one of the things that I see over and over again, is people, men and women, are afraid of being alone, so they cling to these bad relationships. And holy cannoli, there is so much suffering involved with bad relationships. When I think about my life, you know, back in those days, I was in a living hell. I was never happy. I was always worried about what he was doing. Where was he? Was he being honest? Did he really love me? I was mad because he hit me. I was mad because I thought he was cheating. I did not have a moment of peace in my head. Is that really worthwhile just so you can say you have a boyfriend? I mean, don't do it. Get out. If you deserve better. Have the strength to get out, because I promise you the pain will go away. I promise you you're gonna find other people that you love. I promise you you're gonna find people that treat you better. And I promise you that nothing is better than peace of mind, than feeling good about yourself. When you're in a bad situation, they make you feel like you're less than a human. You know, you feel so small, which is how I felt. I felt worthless. I felt ugly. You do not feel like a human being, and that is the web that a person casts on you when you are in a bad relationship. Get out of it. Find yourself. You're gonna feel so much better. You're gonna feel confident. You're gonna feel like you're worth something. So when I finally got rid of this asshole, you know, so I was here in the US, I focused on my education. I had a little bit of fun being single. And then I met my husband, and you guys know a lot about my relationship with my husband because I talked a little bit about that. We got married really quickly. My husband was a wonderful man. I have nothing negative to say about him. I should say my ex-husband, right? My first husband. He was a wonderful man. He's a wonderful father. I have nothing bad to say about him. our relationship did not work because we just lost the spark. I think that's really what happened. We were together for 13 years. We made the mistake of letting regular life take over, so slowly but surely is the routine creeps in. You don't spend as much time together, you're not as physical with each other anymore, you are not as affectionate, you don't make as much of an effort to please the other person. Because think about it, when you are in the beginning of a relationship, your boyfriend likes football, you make all the effort to watch a football game with him even though you freaking hate that crap, right? And vice versa. He makes an effort to take you out or do the things that you like to do. After you're together for 10 years, you do not find the need to do that anymore. So what happens is you just don't do it because you're like, oh, screw it, I don't like football, I'm not gonna freaking watch football with him. So you slowly start distancing yourself from each other and you start losing the spark and the connection, And when you realize you are two friends living together, you're two roommates living together. So that's what happened with us. We were too much together, too long, and we made our child too much of a priority. That's another message I have for you ladies out there or guys out there that have children. Children are amazing, but you cannot make children the sole focus of your marriage, okay? That's what we did. Our life became our daughter. We wouldn't have date nights. We wouldn't go out to watch a movie together. Everything was kid stuff, child stuff, play with our daughter, take her to the store, take her to the park. And our life did not have any romance anymore. So make sure if you have kids, you cannot feel guilty, because I felt so guilty about leaving my daughter alone with a babysitter to go out on a date night with my husband. So I didn't do it. We never traveled. We never did anything. You have to do that to keep the spark alive. And think that the happiness of your children is the best when the parents are together, right? So my sister says something that I really think is true, where she says, God first, marriage second, children third. And it sounds kind of crappy, right? But it is true. The children are happy when the marriage is happy. So you have to focus on your marriage and on each other to make sure your children are going to be well taken care of and that they are being raised in a happy household, right? So take time for your man. Make an effort for your man. Give your man a massage. That is not being self-serving. That is making your marriage work, making your relationship work. Do the things that he likes. Does he like to go hiking? Make a flipping effort and go hiking with him. Make sure you dress sexy. Make sure every night now and then you buy lingerie. Make sure you go on trips together where it's just the two of you getting freaky and crazy. You have to do that. And guys, it's the same thing. If you are a man, or if you are in a gay relationship, you need to make an effort to please your man or your wife, to make sure that that spark stays alive. Dress nice, smell good for your man, smell good for your woman, take them on a date, do a surprise. If you don't do that, your relationship over time becomes those marriages. Do you know, I see that all the time, marriages of people that kiss but don't really kiss, where they're like, mwah, and their lips barely touch. I'm like, you know what? When you see a shitty kiss, that's the first sign of a shitty relationship. Because if you're not physical with each other, to me, that's the first sign that the sparkle is dying. So, lesson right there. Just focus on keeping the romance and the sexy alive. Then, okay, moved on from there. And then I stayed single, after I left my husband, I stayed single for a little bit. And then I dated around, a little bit before I met Scott. And dating in today's world is tough, you guys. Like, social media, makes everything so easy, make women so available. Women are rubbing themselves all over every man out there. It is really a challenge, and when you meet people, guys can be really flaky. So my lesson from my dating life is this: conduct yourself a certain way so people appreciate who you are, okay? Don't be up somebody's ass, calling them, chasing them, and sending messages. If they are not paying you back, with the same attention, same effort you're putting in, is because they are not that interested. Conduct yourself in a way that you are worth something, have some self-worth. Like, don't meet somebody tomorrow and go harass the guy for the next 3 freaking weeks because he's gonna want to run, right? You need to give the person some space. You might like them a lot, but man, keep yourself together, okay? Hold yourself together, and you might want to call them 3 times a day, but don't. Like, have a little bit of sense of A relationship has to progress. If you are too much too soon, people want to run. And then the other piece of dating is, you went out with a dude. The dude is not texting you back. He's not calling you back. It's because he's not interested in you, okay? It is not that hard. I have friends right now to this day that go out with guys. Well, he's not calling, but you know what? I think he's intimidated by how successful I am. I need to call him back or maybe show up at his house because I'm a very independent woman and he's intimidated by how successful I am. Or he's so busy at work, he wasn't able to come by to my house because he said he had very late shifts, in his job, and he's not able to come by 7 days in a row. Or women create the craziest stories to justify why men are not calling them, coming to see them, giving them attention. So here is the thing, guys. Men are not like us, okay? We overthink everything. We create a story about everything. We play games. Men are not like that. Men are like this. If they like you, they're gonna call you. They're gonna make you an effort to see you no matter how tired they are because they want a piece of that ass. They are gonna give you the attention that you want. If he is not doing those things, it's because he genuinely does not want you. I know that is hard to hear. I know that is tough love I'm giving you right now. But ladies, pick up your pride. I know it's gonna hurt. Pick up the pieces of your heart and move on to the next, okay? Do not cling, do not call, do not become a psycho because he's laughing at you, making fun of you with his friends, okay? So I know this is kind of funny to say, but this is one thing that I'm very good at, okay? When I was single, there were plenty of guys that I thought were cute. They were not calling me back. They were not messaging. And I was like, you know what, boo? I'm out. I might be hurt right now because I really liked you and I thought you were cool, but I'm moving on to the next. There's plenty of fish in the sea. So be strong and handle your pain and be a badass and move on to the next. So after my single days, after all of these lessons that I taught you, that's when I met Scott. And you guys know a lot about my relationship with Scott as well. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about that. But I have to say that I am very grateful for all of the bad relationships that I had and for all the lessons that I have learned because they brought me to my husband. And I cannot tell you, I am the happiest I have ever been my entire life. I live a life of contentment, and it's so funny because there is nothing better than being content. When you have a relationship that is peaceful, you trust your partner, you love your partner supports you, they make an effort to make you happy, you make an effort to make them happy. There is not one person that overpower the other. Neither one of us is punishing the other, because we are insecure. We are just happy. It's all I can say about my relationship right now. I have a wonderful, smart, supportive husband that is amazing to me and my daughter. I'm actually getting teary-eyed because, all of the tough times we go in life are really, truly take us to where we are meant to be. So when I think about where I am right now and how happy I am with my husband and my family, if I have to live everything all over again to get to where I am today, I absolutely would. Every single ounce of pain I have felt in all of the failed and bad relationships I had got me to where I am today, and it was so flipping worth it. So hang in there, ladies. If you're not happy, get the hell out because there is so much better waiting for you down the road. So I'm gonna leave you here. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you got some good tips out of my learnings and my tough times, and I will see you on the next video. I love you all so much. Bye-bye.